The Deeper Symbolic Meaning of the Number 33 by Richard J. Oldale, June 2019. Essentially, the masses of mankind are deluded, blind and ignorant. Yes, I did say that, and yes, I do mean it. You do not see the reality of a situation until you expand your conscious awareness and unveil the truth. What we experience in life is merely a perception projected from our subconscious mind, and we assume this projection is the one and true reality. However, your conscious mind is only partially aware of what actually happens. The rest is your perception, a story fabricated for your benefit. Except oftentimes, the story is not beneficial. This projection is based on information we have been told by our parents, teachers, family, peers, TV, ministers, writers, and other sources from where we acquire information. Unfortunately, most of this information manifests as limiting beliefs. All this limited information and other experiences are subsequently stored in the subconscious mind and manifest as ego. This is when the problems really start. Ego is your false personality, your material desires, your delusions about life. Ego is your enemy. Even when you know it's time to fight your ego, an alter ego tries to stop you. You have a lot of egos. The battle with yourself. You may have noticed the ancient myths mention many battles. You find these scenes etched into the walls of temples too. Archaeologists and historians, bless them, relate these scenes to historical events. Whilst it is true the scenes may well be inspired by actual battles that did take place in history, because greedy, deluded and ego-driven leaders desired more, the true meaning is not a reflection of warring cultures. Mythological wars are symbolic of the battle you face with yourself to take control of your conscious mind. Modern psychology recognizes the majority of your decision-making comes from the subconscious mind. It is the subconscious that makes us habitual. The subconscious mind also shapes your ego and makes you believe things that are not a reflection of your true nature. As we've already established, the symbolic meaning of the number 33 is a reflection of an individual that has mastery over the desires of their subconscious mind. Anyone that attains this level of Christ consciousness, is recognized as a Buddha. We don't find Jesus, Muhammad or Buddha fighting anyone. The gods fight, but the gods reflect personality traits of mankind. Genesis 1:27. So God made man in his own image. In Buddhism, there is a story about the descent of the historical Buddha known as the Triastrimsha heaven. The sutra is said to chronicle Buddha Gautama's descent from Mount Meru, where the 33 gods reside. Triastrimsha heaven has 8 heavens in each cardinal direction, totaling 32 heavens that encompass the central heaven, home to the supreme god, Chakra. Chakra is known as the protector of Dharma. Dharma is the opposite of karma. It involves living virtuously in accordance with the noble eightfold path. Karma transforms Dharma. It is by following your Dharma and living life in alignment with your conscious will that you will eventually find your Buddha nature, the God within. That's easier said than done, however. Who is God Chakra? Chakra essentially represents the divine in mankind, man's ability to attain Buddha nature. He still has desires but is able to control them. For example, he does not want to leave his palace because he is so content there. He even tells his worshippers to be reborn in his kingdom. The Triastrimsha heaven represents the human mind and body. Its walls are adorned with 7 gems, the 7 energy centers or chakras. At the center is Lord Chakra, living in pure bliss. Chakra is the equivalent of the Hindu god Indra. In the early Vedas, Indra was recognized as the most supreme god. He is recognized as the protector of the military aristocracy and the Kshatriyas warriors. Here again we find the concept of the battle within. Indra is renowned for his ability to defeat Asuras, the demons of the subconscious mind. Indra's weapon, the Vidra, is a thunderbolt. In symbolism, lightning represents the connection between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. In other words, man's ability to connect with or communicate with your higher conscious mind. Let's look at that concept in another ancient myth. The symbolic meaning of 33 in Christianity. The number 33 appears at significant moments in the Bible. For example, the 33rd time Noah's name is mentioned in the Bible is when God promises him salvation. Genesis 9:18-17. Again, God said to Noah and his sons, "I'm going to make a solemn promise to you and to everyone who will live after you. This includes the birds and the animals that came out of the boat. I promise every living creature that the earth and those living on it will never again be destroyed by a flood. The rainbow that I have put in the sky will be my sign to you and to every living creature on earth. It will remind you that I will keep this promise forever. When I send clouds over the earth and a rainbow appears in the sky, I will remember my promise to you and to all other living creatures. Never again will I let flood waters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the sky, I will always remember the promise that I have made to every living creature. The rainbow will be the sign of that solemn promise." End quote. The rainbow represents the 7 chakras. Remember the 7 jewels in the 33 heavens of Trayastrimsha? Do you notice the similarities between the Buddhist chakra and the promise of God in the Bible? Indra, the god of thunderstorms, is also found pictured with a rainbow in the background. What are the chakra energy centers? Chakras are energy centers that can be used to destroy personality traits, outdated belief systems that no longer serve you, and bad habits that generate bad energy. Bad energy brings bad luck. It is therefore in your best interests to transform energy. You can transform energy by changing your habits. This is the battle you have with yourself. The habitual mind is not so easy to overcome because ego tricks you into believing what you are doing is the best thing for you to do, even when the conscious mind knows what the ego wants is not advantageous. How many times have you fallen for temptation, even though you knew it was not the right thing to do? You know those moments when the ego desires you to fulfill a habitual need, and even though you consciously try to resist, emotions get the better of you and you cave in. When you don't make sacrifices, you don't transform energy. Ultimately, you don't raise your vibration and attain the 33rd state of consciousness. At 33, Jesus sacrificed his life and was reborn a Buddha. Now, I would just say at this point for people to realize that this I am not taking as being literal. We're talking about allegory here, and that's been a kind of point of argument I've had with a few people that really push the Jesus Christ thing, in that to me, it's not about a figure, one person, it's about very much a state, and again, an allegory giving you information. Alright, back to the article. The reason for your weakness is because the subconscious mind has a duty to help you survive. It is programmed to protect your emotional needs. Every action you have habitually performed in the past is stored in your subconscious. So when you enjoyed a particular experience, the subconscious logged the experience with the emotion. Now when you have thoughts or memories of the experiences, your conscious intensifies the emotional power. The emotional power it has the ability to deliver over you, which is why habits are so difficult to overcome. Eventually you outgrow habitual behaviors, but when the realization draws in the subconscious mind, you then have to fight with the subconscious mind to change the programming. When you make sacrifices, you expand your conscious awareness. When you overcome emotions against all material desires, you achieve Christ consciousness, the 33rd degree of consciousness. In Revelation, it takes, quote, God 3.5 years to accomplish the final judgment that leads to, quote, the second coming of Christ. God is a euphemism for energy and higher conscious states. The second coming of Christ merely relates to awakening consciousness in the 33rd degree. The Bible's reference to 3.5 is the number of turns it takes for the Kundalini energy to travel from the root chakra up the Sushumna to the crown chakra. This corporal journey is symbolized by the Kundalini serpent, which is represented as a coiled snake, associated with the Greek god Hermes, the messenger of the gods. Hermes is the only god which can travel between the higher and lower realms. Which brings me nicely to my next point. This is the ability you require when you reach the 33rd state of consciousness. The ability to communicate with your higher self directly. The esoteric connection with 33 and Jacob's Ladder. The biblical story of Jacob's Ladder also informs us that the ancients had an understanding of the electro-biological system on mankind. The writers use the number 33 symbolically, but modern science helps us decode with true meaning. Jacob had 33 children with his wife, and the 33rd time his name is mentioned in scripture, he has the vision of his infamous ladder. Quote, "And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. The Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done that of which I have spoke to you." End quote. Note here how God tells Jacob he will bring him back to this land. Remember, Chakra from the Buddhist myths also invited his worshippers into his heaven. In Kabbalistic traditions, the story of Jacob's Ladder is said to describe the relationship between man's existence in the two worlds of earth and heaven, body and mind. Heaven, as you know, is the kingdom of God, and God is energy. Energy flows through our body and is encoded with DNA that enables our body to function. It is the brain that sends these messages. The ascending angels, according to Kabbalists, are prophets who can transcend the two worlds of spiritual awareness. The descending angels come to deliver their wisdom. As God's messengers, the angels are the thoughts that pop into your head, which trigger neurotransmitters, chemical messengers, in relation to the emotions linked with the thought. The biblical philosopher Philo-Judaeus wrote that angels represent souls. In my opinion, souls, and thus angels, represent states of consciousness which impact thoughts and feelings, and ultimately characterizes our DNA. The mind-body connection. Although this is speculation on my part, DNA is coded with the cosmic intelligence of nature. In its pure state, it is most likely to be complete and in perfect condition. DNA, after all, is nature. What scientists do know is that DNA is damaged by toxic neurotransmitters secreted by the brain. Furthermore, damaged DNA has been linked to debilitating illnesses. Toxic chemicals are released by the brain in relation to fear-based emotions, the foundation of which is typically stress. Although neurotransmitters occur naturally and are designed to protect our physical and emotional survival, fear-based emotions are usually the product of false and faulty emotions stored in our subconscious mind. The human mind is programmed to perceive threats where in fact there is no threat. These corrupted programs are induced by limiting belief systems designed by society and pushed through media, education, political and religious channels. So how can we break away from the virus of society? By expanding conscious awareness and seeing the real truth. Attaining the 33rd degree of consciousness and climbing Jacob's Ladder at will. Connecting directly with your higher self. But what is the esoteric significance of Jacob's Ladder exactly? Well, the human spinal column has 33 bones. Jacob had 33 children. The vertebrae start at the root chakra and end at the base of the brain, en route to the crown chakra. The vertebrae channels messages between the brain and the rest of the body, through the nervous system together with the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. This is your Jacob's ladder, which the angels, messengers of God, energy, ascend and descend. 33 and the Star of David. Knowing about the flow of energy is not enough to understand how you can channel energy effectively. But again, we find clues in the symbolic meaning of the number 33, this time in relation to King David. The Bible tells us that King David ruled the Jews for 40 years. However, you must pay particular attention to the number of years during his reign, as they are significant. The first phase of his rule was only over the tribe of Judah. This lasted for 7 years, representing the 7 energy centers of the body. The chakras are positioned along the spine and play a significant role in the distribution of energy. After ruling Judah for 7 years, King David is then said to have ruled over Israel for 33 years. Israel gets its name from Isis, the female principle, Ra, lower consciousness, and El, higher consciousness. Here we have the 3 aspects of consciousness, higher and lower thoughts, which subsequently trigger emotions. King David is also associated with defeating demons, the battle mankind has to face in order to climb Jacob's ladder and transcend into the higher realms of consciousness. It is by having the right thought, right emotion, and right action that we transcend consciousness. In doing so, we also overcome our demons. The imagery within the Star of David symbolically explains the importance of balancing thoughts and emotions. You can track whether you are rising your conscious awareness. The positive aspects of the 33 cultivate a determination to seek an understanding of wisdom and to teach others how they can also raise conscious awareness. The negative aspects of the number 33 manifest as feelings of superiority. According to some sources, it can lead to fanaticism and martyrdom, which is why the Catholic Church identify martyrs with saints. CFR 369 Live, the Cry Freedom Show with Lisa.com.
If love were a bird, I would stroke her bright feathers, then I'd watch her fly free, cross the still of the dawn. And if peace were a mountain, we'd gather around her to bathe in her silence, her power, her call. If wisdom could sing, or dream.